Tommy, 435 days since seeing you play AFL football. How are you feeling after Carlton Collingwood, mate?
I've pulled up great. It was so good being back out there. I think you really realise how much you miss it when you've been out for that period of time. So it ended up being 14 months, 2 weeks, a total of 435 days, which is, when I heard that number, I was like, wow, that's really long. Because you see guys now who do ACLs, the previous rehab timeline roughly was 12 months, but guys are getting back from an ACL in 8 or 9 months now. Like Dan McStay got back in that time frame. So this was more a continuum of setbacks. So it was a little bit of a different rehab, but I feel like I kept myself really prepared throughout the journey of what the last 14 months was, and was able to come out and hopefully have an impact on the G, and a lot of sacrifice, which you would have seen, I guess, in the dark moments where you had to really dig within yourself to find extra things you can be doing even better and to stay as fit and ready as possible. Because sometimes with these things, you only get one chance to really try and take an opportunity. So that was a real focus.
I know we've spoken about it a bit, but you're probably still the leanest you've been. Looking.
So are you, mate. Your rig's doing good things.
No, that's true, but I'm not.
That's true.
Not an AFL footballer. No, it is true.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking good, feeling good.
Yeah.
However, how have you kept your rig in such good shape in 400 days after a setback, being on the couch?
Yeah.
Not moving as much. You've been on walk. You love a walk with your dog.
Love a dog walk.
And but you've been restricted at times to doing those things. So your life's changed in some ways as well. So lifestyle changes.
I was restricted throughout my rehab with different injuries. I had the foot plantar fascia, then I had the foot stressy, the second metatarsal, where I was had to limit the amount of walking I could do every day. So I could only walk a certain amount of steps, a certain amount of kilometres. So I was pretty much stuck, which from living daily life, really. So I thought, okay, well, I can't keep doing what I'm doing in terms of a physical sense. I'm going to have to find other ways in terms of recovery, diet, sleep to stay lean and ready. And Paddy Cripps actually mentioned it the other day. He's like, it's actually a great effort to do so, because when you can train and do everything, it's easy. If you can do every session, you can pretty much eat whatever you want at AFL level. The amount we train, you can eat whatever you want. But I had to strip that right back. So a few things I did was really work with the dietitian, and I think the main thing, the obvious one to cut out, is alcohol. If you cut out alcohol, for anyone out there listening, it's a cheat code just to lean right out. If you cut that out, you're halfway there. Not that I was a big drinker, but like I've just the last 12 months barely had a drink. I've just locked in. In terms of my diet, on my low training days, so I'll fast pretty much till 12 p.m. today. So today is essentially a day off. I won't eat anything until 12. Lunch will look like today. I'm going to make a tuna salad at home. So
I love tuna salad.
Yeah, well, that's good, because
Like
I thought it was a bit of a
mayo.
boring answer.
Is it the mayo?
I'm massive on pickles at the moment. Pickles is where I get the flavour.
Massive.
Bit of beetroot every now and then.
I chuck apple in my,
Yeah.
like really diced apple in my tuna
okay,
salad.
I'll try that.
Give that a crack, or pear.
Yeah, but then I won't eat anything pretty much out of any packaging. So muesli bars and things, I won't even touch that. So everything is pretty much just organic, pretty clean food. Shout out to the missus at home, Taylor. She's a bit of a master chef in the kitchen. So the two main meals on non-training days will be lunch and dinner. I'll have like a snack, probably some fruit late afternoon, and then I'll drink a cup of bone broth after dinner. So I try and avoid
full influence mode almost.
Yeah, exactly.
You getting down to the sauce bulk food still?
Sauce gets a run, but I stay away from the nuts and the nice tasting things. Every now and then, I must say, everything is in moderation. Post game, I'll have a big crack.
Box of shapes.
So I used to be shapes. I've gone lately. What did me and Taylor did the other night? We got a litre of ice cream from Messina.
Right.
Smashed that, and then it's locked back in. So I've found that balance, but it's allowed me to strip probably 3 kilos, be the lightest, leanest I've been. And from the jump to not playing AFL for 14 months to going in, felt like I covered the ground really well, felt dynamic, and it was all off the back of pretty much the diet sacrifices that I've made.
Well, we've started our new show on ball magnets called On the Inside with Gatorade, and you've spoken about on the recent episode, which comes out today on recording. I don't know when this is going to come out.
It'll be out this week on AFL channels, yeah.
I don't want to go too negative. We can stay really positive.
Let's stay positive.
And I feel like the Collingwood fans are going to be quite happy with some of my questions around the Carlton-Collingwood game. One of the big ones is you and Ned Long playing in the same team, playing in the same midfield. Some people didn't think it was going to work. However, it's shown that that is a avenue you can go down with so many mids to come back. So The iconic midfield is you, Dakes and Pendles running rampant in there. How was it feeling with just back with the normal boys?
It was great. Like, we've got so much depth in there. Like, Longy, you mentioned, he's taken his game to another level. He's been so awesome for us this year, and we are quite different. Like, I know we play same position, but I don't see why we can't play in the same team. And you know, he's a real bull. He breaks tackles. He's a tackling machine. He actually runs and covers the ground really well. Like, his GPS is always really strong. I'm probably more of as well, I love a tackle and pressuring the oppo, but I do it a slightly different way with my handballing and trying to put guys into space. So I think we've got a good mix of guys doing different things. You know, Pendles does what Pendles does. He probably prefers being in a bit more space, more of that defensive-minded mid for us. Whisper is just Whisper. He's just who he is. Then you got Steele and Crispy, who can play wing, inside, outside. You got other guys who can roll through. Paddy Lipinski's playing really well as a high forward, but can also play wing. So we got a lot of good depth in the midfield. So it's a good problem to have for the club, regardless.
Clearly, being a, you know, you're on the first contest. You're on the first touch of the ball. Essentially, is your role. You're trying to get the ball on the ground in a contest. With that being your focus, in comparison to some other players, does that make? I don't know. You've come back from this long injury, so that don't take this away from the massive achievement that it is. Does it make it easier for you to come back into a side from an extended period out knowing a real clear definitive role, even though you know what your role is because you're Tom Mitchell?
No, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I think, well, that goes for every player in our team. Everyone's role is so specific, and I think people would be so surprised at the level of detail that the coaches go through with us about what our role actually is in our system. So everyone pretty much knows where they should be at each point in time, wherever the ball is on the field, whichever team has the ball. We pretty much know exactly what we have to do. And I guess there is room within the system for our talent to shine. You know, Nick does what Nick does and breaks the game open, and our forwards kick amazing goals, and our defenders do things that they play on instinct, but it's off the back of the system. So I think Fly always touches on how strong our system is, but exactly right. For my role, I knew exactly what I had to come in and do. Came in, tried to win the ball from long down the line contest, trying to pressure or win the ball or get out to our team's advantage at clearance, putting myself in contested situations, using my agility and things like that, and then using my handball as one of my weapons to try and put teammates into space. So that's pretty much what my role was on the weekend, and I absolutely loved being out there again. It was great.
Because you get so much of it, can be easy to use it willy-nilly. You obviously didn't skip a beat at all, but I found and noticed the people that you were giving it to, it was impressive how you found the best ball users all the time. And one that I found from 2023, and not that he wasn't doing it back when you won the flag, but you found Paddy Lipinski a few times, and he's the best inside 50 kick in the competition. Like, he's hands down, bar none. But back in 2023, he's probably not up at the contest as much. I'm not sure. Not in depth, but you're finding the right people all the time. You found Nick so many times, found Lipper a few times as well, and he hit targets straight away. So is that part of your frontal cortex as well?
I think it's probably more on those guys being smart players, knowing how to get themselves in positions to receive the ball. My job, I guess, is easy. I do what I try and do at ground level, and they make the work at the end look really good. I think those smart players know how to position themselves so that you're in your vision, and you can also hear them pretty loudly because you know when they're in the vicinity. So the Dacos brothers are always in the vicinity. They know how to position themselves really well. But I remember early in my career, like, I was always critiqued for metres gained, and metres gained became such a topical thing to talk about. And, you know, players like myself and Lachie Neal, they don't get metres gained, but why would I run and kick the ball? My max kicks is probably 50. If I can give it to Nick, who can run 20, kick it 50, and probably lay someone out better.
Like, yeah, what's your metres gained? What's the, like, if you've given off a 2 metre handball and Nick's run 20 metres and kicked it 50 metres, surely that, and you've given it to him in a good spot.
Yeah, I'm not sure on I think there used to be a stat on assisted metres gained.
Yeah, was there?
I used to work with Isaac Smith, and he would obviously be the one that broke the game open for the Hawks, but it's just not what my strength is. My strength isn't to run, break the lines and kick, you know, like, I'm a handball first player, like to set up my teammates, so that's what I'll continue to do. So that was a phase of my career where I tried to block that out because it just didn't align with what I'm good at. That's the best part about AFL footy. Everyone brings different strengths to the table. So I guess why would you go away from how you can best complement the team?
You came on and off a fair bit. Did you know you were going to be, kind of rotated frequently?
I think the coaches and high performance team have a plan going into the game every week. They normally get something of who had high game load the week before, who has high training load, and I think they manipulate minutes depending on that. I didn't really know or wasn't too aware of those sorts of things, other than to say potentially my first game back playing in the AFL, maybe I was managed with game time a little bit more. But again, you'll see over the remainder of the season, guys will be managed. I think Pendles and Steele, Howie, Checkers, a lot of the older guys, Jamie maybe, potentially will have their time to play lower minutes or be managed so that hopefully now that we've qualified for finals officially, we can all be peaking at the same time.
There's some other players that you haven't played with before. Obviously, notably the Skunk, you've never played AFL football with. First game with one of your best mates.
Yeah.
How was? Did you link up?
We linked up pre-game for a few dap-ups, but we didn't link up in the game itself. So Skunk sent me a message pre-game, and he said the last time we played together, he sent me a screenshot of, it was the Sydney Swans reserves versus Aspley in the 2014 NEFL Grand Final. It said best players, Mitchell, Membry kicked 5. We lost by 3 points with a kick after the siren. And in a grand final, I somehow came away with a norm, which was called the Andrew Island medal. But Skunk said, mate, last time we played together, you robbed me of the norm, so you owe me a goal tonight. So I didn't get him that goal. But, mate, it was so good to run out with, as you mentioned, one of your best mates. And we'd spoken about when he got to Collingwood how good it's going to be running out together and hopefully playing an AFL game. It probably came a bit later than we both thought, but it was still unreal to run out with one of your best mates. We got a cool photo on the G post-game too, which was cool.
Were you busy getting tickets for everyone?
This week?
Yeah.
I actually didn't have too many. So normally the ticketing situation, you might think, I'm actually keen to get your view on, actually I'll ask you first, how many tickets do you think each player gets access to?
Well, I've got a little bit better of an insight to this, but I think most games, 3, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, right.
So I think people, when they come hit you up for tickets, they think the tickets grow on
Unlimited,
trees, but we get access to 4 tickets and 4 change room passes for family and friends for post-game access. And there's always ways that you can get more tickets through the club or the AFL, and they're very accommodating, especially with milestone games. And I was actually very fortunate because I hadn't played for a while. The club did look after me a little bit, and I was able to get some more tickets for family and friends. And it was also a little bit harder when you have a debutant in Rowan Steele, who came in. I think he would have taken about 20 tickets, but debutants always get looked after, so they should. So he was another one who came on and did pretty well.
I was going to say, there's a couple of other players that you potentially haven't played with before, him obviously being the first one, but is there some other young guys that you hadn't played with? You haven't played with Perryman?
Yeah.
Haven't played with Houston?
Yep.
How was that?
It was cool. Yeah, no, really cool to play first game with a number of those guys. I played with Rowan in the VFL the last few weeks, and it's insane, those stories, when he's been at the club for 3 weeks. So he landed on a plane from Perth on a Thursday night, thrown in the deep end straight away, trained with the VFL that night, played that weekend, has played 3 games, 3 pretty solid games as a winger, and then he's playing on the G in front of 75,000. It's insane.
Crazy.
But those guys you mentioned, Houston, Perryman, just bring another level of experience to the team, and those guys just compete hard and want to win, which is so good. And Bruzzy epitomises that. It was good to have the Bruz back on the weekend too after 4 or 5 weeks out. And yeah, those high backs are really competitive back there. Q's having a great season too.
Has Bruzzy re-signed recently?
Bruzzy re-signed 4 years.
Huge.
Yeah.
The Bruz.
So hopefully Darcy Cameron's not far away. Someone mentioned to me post-game, they're like, what's the difference? Actually, it was on The Inside, which will be on the AFL channels.
Great show.
Great show, yeah.
Give it a watch.
Give it a watch. Lockie asked me, what did you think was different? Did you notice a difference in the speed of the game or anything like that? And I said it was pretty similar. It felt very much the same as to last time I played. One thing I did notice, and as a spectator, I think everyone can see how good Darcy Cameron is.
I've been saying it for the last 2 weeks on the Monday Magnets.
Absolute superstar, and one of my good mates as well. But
he's added so much around the ground.
His marking ability to the point where teams don't want to go long down the line because he's such a threat. I've obviously watched him as I watch every Collingwood game the last year that I haven't been playing. I know how good he is and how much we value him internally, but being up close to him on the weekend and watching him battle both Pitnet and TDK, I'm like, he's gone to another level. He's so strong. The work he does in the gym, you should see how hard he works in the gym. He's the hardest worker in the gym at the club. Puts so much price on getting his body physically primed as a big ruckman to compete with these guys, and it'll get no easier than Jared Witts, who's having a great season in the ruck as well. But I noticed him as someone I was like, wow, he's really improved again, which is pretty incredible.
I reckon you can see it. I reckon you can. There's a massive, even from 23, which he was massively valuable in 23. But I think we mentioned it a couple of days ago. It wasn't always like Darcy Cameron coming to Collingwood and he's this number one ruckman. He had to come in, fight against Brodie Grundy and take Brodie Grundy's spot
for sure
a couple of years ago. And I'm sure the Pies coaching staff, I'm not sure if it was Fly at the time, probably wasn't, but had to put a lot of faith in him and saw something in him early. Was he a teammate of yours early at the Swans?
So he and I went to the same school in Western Australia.
Wow.
When I left Hale, he arrived, so I missed him. Then when I left Sydney Swans, he arrived, so we missed each other again. Okay. And then finally we came together at Collingwood, and we all had the same friendship group from WA circle, Sydney Swans circle. So it felt like we knew each other. But he's just such a good teammate. Like, he brings such good energy to the footy club. And one thing I love about him is his humility. Like, he deep down would know how well he's going, because last year All-Australian squad. This year he should be in it again, and it should be a serious chance to be the starting ruck, although I know there's a number of good rucks out there. But he's so humble. Like, he doesn't get ahead of himself. He's just is it white collar or blue collar? Which one? Which
blue
is
collar.
the one? Blue collar.
Yeah.
He's blue collar. I get him mixed up. He's blue collar in the way he goes about it, because he gets praised a lot in meetings for what he brings to the team. But he and I actually have a bit of an inside joke. When he's getting pumped up too much, I'll just give him a little reminder and say something like, mate, you've only played 90 games in 10 years. Like, it's pretty shit ass. And he's like, yeah, keep pulling me down, because I need to stay humble.
Love it.
But he does. He stays humble, but he's one of the best players in the comp, I think.
Well, 7 weeks to go, Tommy, in 2025. Looking forward to the next 6 weeks and next year. You're contracted?
Not contracted next year, no.
True.
Yeah.
So, firstly, how's the next 7 weeks going to look, and moving into finals, which obviously you've locked in? The ladder's very strange, because there's only a couple of teams in it.
9 teams, I think, that can officially make it. So it's sort of sorting itself out, isn't it?
Sort of is. So how are you looking for the next sort of 7 weeks? How are you going to keep the body right? And then moving forward, beyond this year, maybe you don't really know what's going to happen either, but what are you looking like for 2026?
Yeah, well, my body feels great, and I obviously couldn't say that for a long time, but I feel the fittest, leanest I've been. I'm feeling dynamic and covering the ground well. So I want to keep playing footy for as long as I can. I absolutely love it. I know I've got a lot of good footy left at AFL level. But I guess the next 7 weeks, like, I know received a lot of really nice messages from people over the weekend and received some praise. But again, similar to what we were talking about with Darcy Cameron, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. It's one game at AFL level that was a good win by the team, but you can't get too ahead of yourself, and I definitely won't do that. I'm staying level and low to the ground and just get back to working hard each week. And my process, I guess, in terms of my individual prep, I guess today for my body, it's a day off, but I'll see my movement coach for an hour and a half. I've had an hour and a half massage with a masseuse who comes to my house. I'll do acupuncture for an hour. So it's not LeBron James spending $1 million on your body, but I'll spend $400 on it today, just to
whole workshop in the backyard.
Get myself cherry ripe. And then from a footy performance point of view, I'll do ball handling every day, pretty much. I'll do a footwork session with one of our coaches, a stoppage bodywork session with another one of our coaches at the club. So I just tick off all the things on the outside, and then main training's the main one, where you want to hit intensity and things like that, and hopefully that just gives you a good chance to play well. But the boring answer is I'm not looking any further ahead than Gold Coast this week, because missing footy for so long, you realise you can't take any AFL game for granted. I don't think I did, but like, you're treating every game like it's your last now. So that's definitely what I'll be trying to do this week. I'm really just excited to play and absolutely love playing footy for Collingwood.
Bloody oath, mate. What's on for the rest of the week?
Rest of the week, what have I got for you? Oh, we've got an event for Josh Giddey.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
You'll be coming along.
I'll be there.
They're opening up a venue called Courtside, which is going to be essentially like a hoop city. There's a number of full courts, half courts for shooting. There's shopping there with all the basketball brands you can think of, Jordan, Vassetti, which is Dyson's brand, Nike, Adidas, every basketball brand you can think of. So it's going to be the biggest basketball hub in Melbourne, in Port Melbourne. So we're going to the launch event of that. We'll be doing some content there with Giddy and Dyson and some of the best basketballs in Australia. So you got the call up, mate. You'd be happy with that?
Well, they just need me down there when we're talking high-level athleticism and basketball and jumping ability.
Yeah.
That's me. So they call me up and just ask me if they can do a showcase.
Yeah. No, so that's pretty much it for the week. It's business as usual, but going to an event like those things, and I think outside of footy, having things like I love doing the podcasting and what we're doing with ball magnets.
Do you, on a real, have you, and I know we're ending this pod off, but since starting the podcast in early 2022, have you grown a fondness for it? What does it give you? What does it wire in you? What is it?
I love it because from a personal point of view, I love chatting to other athletes, and without them realising, I'm learning so much and picking their brain about what I love to do in terms of preparation and stories around star athletes around the world. Like I absolutely love that. So from an entertainment point of view, like I love learning and hearing those things, but also like to think that, you know, having played AFL footy now for, I think this is my 14th season, that got a lot of knowledge in the space, and with Cripper and Lockie, having good mates to do it with, like and Josh Giddy, can't forget Gids, but we're really happy with the little crew of guys we got together to create content, and we hope the audience loves it as well because we love the podcasting. We'll be creating more training programs as well, which you can find at ballmagnets.com.au. We've actually got Cripper with his contested ball program and his prehab program, which are live on the website now, as well as our merch, which is still available. So the hoodies are pretty much gone, but tees coming into summer will be selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, get some tees, guys. They're good tees.
The tees are good. Heavyweight tees.
Me and Will Taylor.
Yeah.
We look good.
You guys don't take it. Where is your shirt, by the way, today?
Well, I've just been so blue and brown for the last sort of 8 to 10 weeks.
That's fair. You are pretty loyal to wearing the brand.
I've been so loyal to the brand. I've been sitting there with one of the 2 Ball Magnets footies.
Yeah.
AIA
they probably need a wash.
They're in the wash now.
Yeah.
No, they're not. But I needed a sort of a blank canvas.
Yeah. But what can I tell you about the show you mentioned On the Inside as well?
Yeah.
So that's partnered with Gatorade and the AFL. So myself, Cripper and Lockie, for anyone that hasn't seen yet, you can see us 3 do a podcast together every week. There's another 6 episodes to go. It'll be released on a Tuesday afternoon on the AFL app, AFL website, and we just basically discuss everything topical in the AFL landscape from a player's opinion point of view. So this week we discuss footwear, surfaces. We shout out milestones every week, and we give a bit of an in-depth analysis as to this week, for example, it was Tom Liberatore and Jeremy Cameron, who both had milestones in their own right, and player-to-player pump-ups. We like those. So
speak about Libar and how good
I think it's just
he is.
cool to have players' opinions out there. Like,
well, externally, from you being the host of it, it is something that's not done in AFL. It's not.
Like guys have podcasts, but I think a lot of podcasts.
It's guest-based.
Yeah, it's guest-based, and they probably, don't necessarily touch on what's topical.
No.
But we don't want to get too political. We don't want to get caught up in
nothing
that's going to cause any trouble. But I think there's so many opinions from media and coaches and journalists. Why not have players who, for Paddy and Lockie, have reached the pinnacle and are still at their pinnacle individually? Why not hear from them too?
You've got 3 players with 3 different experiences that can all collaborate on a conversation, and that's something players go on 360 occasionally, and they'll get asked some topical questions. But having 3 top level athletes from their field on a podcast for 8 weeks in a row is bloody awesome. So if you haven't given it a chance, make sure you go and listen to it. Different to anything else sort of in the space at the moment.
We've also got another episode coming up with Josh Giddy, because that last one, what about some of the numbers? Like you can probably talk to the numbers because you're our social media guru, but the Giddy interview part 1 featured
all
on Bleacher
over America,
Report.
Tommy.
Yeah, it's in America. Gone global, but I think it had around 15 articles written, big collab with the NBL, well, you can probably talk to it better, but we've got a part 2 coming soon too.
We've got a part 2 coming. Just some topical conversations. Giddy's obviously in the news at the moment for his contract situation, which is going to be sorted.
It'll sort itself out. I think it's taking a bit slower than expected, but these things can take time. Good things take time. So we can ask him when we see him at the event on Wednesday, but we're actually shooting with him as well. In about 2 weeks' time, we're doing a big shoot with Giddy and Jordan Lawley. So for the basketball lovers out there, you'll be able to buy a training program created by Josh Giddy and Jordan Lawley, one of the best trainers in the world, dribbling, passing, shooting for all levels of all ages. So beginner, intermediate and advanced. We'll be having Josh Giddy programs on the Ball Magnets website very soon as well.
Got some cool things coming, Tommy, and then the off season is going to come around and we're going to be doing even cooler things. And our favourite season is Brownlow Grand Final season.
Yeah, there's plenty going on there too.
We go bananas in that period.
Yeah, it's content.
If you haven't watched the Ben Cousins episode, that, by the way, has on YouTube alone got over 100,000, which is clearly our biggest pod. I think the Dacos pod's up to 92, 93,000. But we're going to have some pretty cool things in the pipeline. Yeah,
plenty happening at Ball Magnets, mate, and all off the back of your hard work. So we appreciate you. We appreciate the Monday Magnets as well for last pump up here before we shoot off to.
Can you invest in like a little HQ for us? I know we've got
Ball Magnets HQ. I kind of like it here at Pivotal. We get well looked after at Pivotal. They do a great job for us. But
is there a little side room, Aiden? You got a little.
Well, they are actually upgrading potentially soon to a bigger space, but we do love Pivotal. We get looked after well here, and you guys recording Monday Magnets every morning on a Monday. Yourself, Will Taylor, Caden McDonald, 3 of the biggest influencers in the AFL space.
Yeah, Brown McCabe's up there.
Yeah, he's top 1.
He's top 3.
But
not 2 or 3.
That's released Monday, Arvo. So, mate, there is plenty happening at BM, but we love it.
If you like footy, just subscribe. Just
hit subscribe. You know what to do.
All right, thanks, Tommy. Great work, mate.
Good work.